Reku Ragnarok Season 3 comes out in December, One Punch Man Season 3 comes out in October, Baki Dao is in the works behind the scenes, Tenkaichi has officially been greenlit to get an anime, but there's still many more amazing stories that need their own series, and if they get one, I have absolute faith in their success. But first, I know many of you watching have already left a comment about Kengan Omega and whether or not that's getting an anime. At the current release of today's video, we still have no official information. If you hear otherwise, you're getting misinformed or straight out lied to. Hopefully in the future, but right now we have absolutely nothing. And you can say a similar thing for a second movie featuring the Kengan vs Baki crossover. Yes, there was technically hints at the end of the first one. However, based on official information, we still have no idea whether it's going to get a sequel, and the animation studio that actually did that crossover is in fact the same as Baki Dao, which they're working on still behind the scenes, but they have also been releasing all of Sakamoto Days throughout 2025. Now let's go over some manga that don't have any anime announcements thus far, but if they got one, I have absolute faith they will blow up, and of course they're similar to the channel's theme in the fighting manga martial arts niche. Up first, we have a story created by the same author that did Kengan, alongside How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift, something set in the same universe as those two series. It goes by the name Star Strike It Rich, and it's pretty much the female fighting equivalent of Kengan, but on a somewhat lower scale, while also featuring its own underlying story behind the scenes as well. Currently sitting at 58 chapters with a bi-weekly release schedule, and so far has more than enough content for one season, and pretty much has all the greatness you expect from Kengan, but all the fighters are in fact female, meaning in a world controlled by gooning, Star Striker Rich has the potential to be insanely popular. On top of that, most of the fights so far in this manga, which includes multiple mini tournaments so far, are very good, and of course the art is absolutely insane. Manga wise, it's built up quite a big fan base, and one that solely isn't just related to the Kengan one, its own fan base, and is something that definitely has the potential to be insanely popular. This includes in the broader martial arts anime and manga community, but more importantly the general anime community, which may just depend on which animation studio actually gets it. I think it could work in the CGI path similar to Kengan Ashura, but if it wants to have the most success as possible, probably avoiding that is for the best, and if it gets a very good anime, some of these moments are definitely going to blow up, that's for sure. Up next, we have a series very similar to Reku Ragnarok, and anyone who's a fan of that will likely greatly enjoy it. It's known as Mujo Taisen, or the War of Greedy Witches. So pretty much, instead of gods vs humans, it's a tournament between various females of history and mythology as well. You could say the female equivalent of Reku Ragnarok, which is currently sitting at 57 chapters, a monthly releasing series that has pretty long chapters each time, and I believe is currently on its 9th fight, meaning it has more than enough content for 1 or even 2 seasons. The gooning appeal for that section of the anime community, which is indeed there, the tournament setting requirement, decent flashbacks and character designs throughout, with not bad fights by any means. But similar to Reku Ragnarok, it is something that can only excel to an insane degree anime wise if it gets good animation, as the whole premise is a tournament and the characters fighting, meaning if it has bad animation, it may be doomed. However, the appeal may be very broad, and if they were to release this on Netflix and promote it alongside Reku Ragnarok, like it releases in the same magazine when it comes to the manga, it could be very successful. Now the next one may seem quite strange, but hear me out. Baki side story, Retsu Kaioh doesn't mind even if it's in another world. But first, hold that thought. If you want to support the channel and get some goods for yourself, check out Gamer Subs at the top of the description. Using code MWEEB you get a 10% discount off everything and supports me directly in this content I provide. Thanks for the support. Now back to the Retsu Isekai manga, one that right now is still ongoing and indeed has over 50 chapters, meaning more than enough content for a single season. It is a isekai series, meaning the animation Guna Studios in Japan will definitely eat this up. But one issue I need to address is timeline wise, we need to have the conclusion of Bakidao, or at the very least the anime of that released, before something like the Retsu Isekai can even be a possibility. However, out of all the side manga, I think this one will definitely be the most fun and potentially be the most popular even outside of the regular Baki community. Therefore, I think it would be fun and something they should consider doing. Following that, I have a series by the name of Garouden, but as many of you know, that recently got an anime on Netflix and is closely connected to Baki as I broke down in this video. But something any of you who watched it or are familiar with the manga, the anime adaptation was not technically the manga adaptation that Itagaki, the creator of Baki, did the art for. The anime version followed a different character as the protagonist or the focal point of the anime, while the manga has another one that appears in the anime as the protagonist, meaning the story and events taking place are connected. Is this from the perspective and situations involved with different characters? And I would say the manga protagonist and that story is many times better than what we got for the anime, with it being one of the most underrated and goated fighting manga of all time, with some absolutely incredible fights. So if you haven't checked out the original manga at this point, I highly recommend doing so. Then likely checking out the anime. Something from my research that didn't perform that well, meaning getting a second adaptation probably won't be the case if I had to place my bets, but I still think it would be sick. So now when it comes to the world of Manhwa, I have two series that technically already have information about them getting an anime very soon. The first one has 100% confirmation and it's known as Mercenary Enrollment. I read the first 200 or so chapters of this a few years ago and still consider it one of my favorite manhwa of all time. But the fighting series I want the most to get an anime is known as The Boxer. Something when researching apparently has multiple rumors about it's getting an anime, but no 100% or official confirmation you could say. But if it was to get one, I think it does have the potential to blow up. It is a complete story, but absolutely goated and potentially my favorite manhwa of all time. Highly recommend checking it out. Now, a series I haven't really been keeping up with, but I think it could have a pretty cool anime. It goes by the name Tokyo Duel. I recommended it a few times in various videos over the years. It definitely has more than enough content for multiple seasons at this point. So if any of you are up to date, let me know your thoughts on Tokyo Ghoul since my original videos a few years back. And a series I have somewhat started but by no means completed that's been recommended to me many times goes by the name Tough. Seems to have a solid and dedicated fan base. Quite small, but I might as well mention it in today's video to those of you who want to check it out. Now, coming back to something similar to Record of Ragnarok, I recently made a video about the country vs country manga. This is known as Reku Sensen and pretty much has just about enough content for one season as well, but check out my breakdown video on that right now.